and welcome back to my Minimalism for Beginners series. Today we're going to be talking about how to maneuver shopping situations, because stores employ people. They employ psychologists, they employ marketers, they employ people who are trying to get you into those shops to spend your money. So I've come up with some strategies to get around this, because we must protect ourselves. We mustn't be vulnerable to their tactics. And yeah, this video is going to equip you, so prepare to be equipped. My first tip is to just avoid the shops as much as you can. Try to avoid being in that vulnerable position. If you are someone who uses the shops as like a day out or a sort of social situation, try and do a little bit of research and find out what else there is locally. Maybe you could go and do some crafts with your friends, or go to a dance class, or work out with your friends. You don't have to completely eliminate the social element just because you're not going shopping. So try not to go to stores, try not to go to malls, just try and get yourself away from the people who are trying to trap you, essentially, is what they're doing. They're setting up giant traps. My second bit of advice is to keep a list of things that you want, and you can add to it whenever you like. Whenever you see something that you think that you might want to buy at some point, just add it onto the list. Give yourself 2 weeks, at least 2 weeks before you're actually allowed to buy it. So something has to be sitting on that list for at least 2 weeks before you're actually allowed to make the purchase. Every now and again revisit the list, and you'll find that once the excitement of knowing the product exists has worn down, that you'll not be as interested anymore, and you can find that you can just then cross it off. If you find yourself in a situation where there's lots of sales, only let yourself buy things that are on the list. My third point is to find different ways to value money. So, by this I mean, we all learned in the classic film Confessions of a Shopaholic that there's a big difference between cost and worth. So, let's say you were out and about and you saw a top that you really liked for £30, let's say. So that's the cost is £30. Now for you, on, let's say your wage is £15 an hour, that's 2 hours of your life. And that's not just 2 hours of work, that's 2 hours where you could be spending time with friends, seeing your family, doing something creative, being asleep, which is pretty good. These are things that you could be doing in that time that you are earning the money that you have spent on this top. Is that really worth it? Something I like to think about is, when I was traveling around Japan, I stayed in some of the most exquisite hostels you would ever imagine. If you think of the word hostel, you get this image in your mind of like, well, the film Hostel, I guess, and sort of, grubby, horrible people and socks everywhere and stinks. This was not like that. This was the complete opposite. It was so clean, it was so modern, it was so peaceful. It was my genuine heaven. Like, oh, if I can find the place that I stayed at, I will put some pictures here and show you exactly when I stayed. Anyway, this place, when I stayed there, was £15 a night. I spent £15 a night to stay in heaven. So whenever I am faced with something that's £15, I'm sometimes thinking, yeah, it's great that this top's only £15, fantastic. But that is a night in the best Japanese hostel that you could ever imagine. And that to me is worth so much more. So although the cost is £15, the cost is exactly the same. If I think about something that's worth more to me for that money, then it makes, spending £15 on a top or something seem just a lot less exciting, I guess, and it makes me not want the top as much. My third tip is to use cash whenever possible. Cards are deliberately designed to try and trick you into thinking that you're getting more than you're giving. So you hand over your card and you get your card back as well as your items, and you feel like you don't really feel like you've spent anything, but you have, and it's a trick, and it's deliberately set up this way. So it's this idea of trying not to be a victim of companies' strategies, because they're very, very clever. They're trying to trick you, they're trying to trap you. So use cash whenever possible, because then at least you feel like you're losing something. You're handing something over that you're not going to get back. And my final tip is for special days for other people, like birthdays, Christmas, Mother's Day, Father's Day, all this kind of thing. Get them experiences rather than actual gifts. Unless it's something very specific that they want, don't get them a bit of tat, because that's what I always used to do. I would set a budget and I would find the thing that I felt looked like it was worth more than the amount I spent. That was what I wanted to give my loved ones. But that's not really, that's not really what it's about. If you can find websites like Groupon, Living Social and Voucher, this kind of thing, if you can find an experience on there that they'll love, you can even join them on it. And there's all sorts of things, from like, you can go for some cake, or you can go for a spa day, or you can get them a ride in a fancy car, all this kind of thing. There's so many options. Try and be minimalist to other people as well. Try and spread this minimalist joy out as far as you possibly can. And they are my 5 strategies for coping with shopping situations. I hope some of them were of use. And if you are interested in minimalism, and in particular this Minimalism for Beginners series, please feel free to subscribe and follow me on my social media. And I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for watching. Bye.